late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. But for those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is February the 14th, 2018. It is, in fact, Valentine's Day. Trying to get BZ, hold on, get BZ going there. He's got sound. He does have sound. Okay, then I'll show him to the world. There he is. There's the beloviating Zeppelin. And yes, sound. Oh, and he needs a mic. Mike's help. There we go.
Sound and Fury. Hey.
You know, 1 week off.
Veronica, we have music.
Well, and, you know, somebody keeps turning down all the headphones over here every week, and I don't know who the hell's doing it. You. Okay.
Guilty.
Well, that just got awkward, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Jesus.
Hey, listen, did you note I was immediately honest?
No, the hand went right up.
It did.
Well, you know, especially because you're the FNG around here.
I am.
It's better to own up to it than have me find out later.
I know, because covering up the truth, something that DC has yet to figure out, covering up the truth is always worse than if you just damn admitted it in the first place.
Right.
But convince anyone in the swamp of that? Any politician, state, local, federal?
Unable to do it.
Not going to happen.
So we are live tonight
At all.
via Facebook and not on YouTube. We're having a problem. YouTube's fighting with us.
And guess who's winning?
YouTube. YouTube. Sons of bitches. It could just be a communication gap. We're trying to work on it. I'm trying really hard to work on it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they'd reply.
It would be nice. It'd be nice. We'll see what happens.
And Facebook didn't like me last night.
Yeah.
Even though, and folks who are listening, if you got the notification from Facebook that I was live, I looked at my phone.
Right.
Here it is. And I got the notification that Facebook was live.
Yep. I'm right.
And then at the end of the show, because I assemble all that stuff and I put it out in a blog post as to the show and what happened, who was on, blah, 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 I went to go look for it in the SHR Media Facebook page, and guess what was conspicuously absent? Although Facebook told me, hey, we got you covered, bro.
Yeah, you're good. It's all good, homie.
Guess who wasn't covered? This is where I stick up my hand again.
Not you.
Not me, uncovered.
I know, you texted me late last night. You're like, hey.
Because, see, here's the other thing, too. I just figured that you're the techno god around here. We know who isn't the techno god.
Right.
Correct?
Well, let's go to him right now.
Okay. Oh, come on, Clint. Tell us.
Normally, he'd be sitting right there.
He's strangely silent about technology. On the other hand, that's sort of his standard reply in terms of technology, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like a blank screen, or he pulls out his T-shirt.
Well, I'm going to see if I can get him.
There he is.
There he is.
Okay, so for those watching live on Facebook, it's a visual now.
It is.
This is more motivation as to why you should be listening on SHR, shrmedia.com. That is damn funny. and why you should be watching on Facebook Live.
Yeah. No, hold on. I just want to make sure that we got to get him in here. I got to make sure we get him on. There we go.
Good. Okay. Perfect. Now
All three.
That's just where his face would normally be.
So when he
so that's just perfect.
So when he chimes in later, we already have him up.
So if we need to reply or anything like that, well, here's one thing. I'm looking at shrmedia.com and I see, okay, we are live. So at least Spreaker's got us covered.
Are we in chat? Do we have somebody in chat? Are you in chat?
I'm in chat.
Okay,
and
good.
we've got Dave Milner is in
Hey,
chat.
the unpleasant
Mike's
blind
in
guy.
chat.
Hey, Mike. Good evening, sir.
Me is in chat because I haven't logged in as BZ yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm here. And count them, 3 viewers who shall not be unmasked.
Suspicious.
Because we don't do that here.
Suspicious. I like it.
Okay, so I guess I've got to log into chat roll, which I shall do.
It's
What specious bullshit shall we make up for why Clint isn't here today?
Why?
And it's got to be completely specious.
right. Why is Clint not here today?
Yeah, and we also have to make sure that we don't tell him about it.
Right. This will be the test to
that
see
we
if
make
he
up
actually
something-
listens on the weeks that he's
Yeah,
off.
we make up something really full of crap
Well,
about him.
we do that every week on the show anyhow. But
Oh, wait, this is great. Speaking of technology.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, guess what? My computer had 26 tabs set up right now. So guess what my computer's doing?
Restarting and updating.
Yes, it is. So what all the stuff for show reference and whatnot wiped out. And by the way, it's lost. It's not going to come back.
Forever. Wait, well, who do you do your tabs through? Are you using Chrome or
I'm using Chrome. So
you can
so
do a tab recovery?
from BZ to Windows. Blow me. That also was a visual if you happen to be on Facebook Live.
But here's the thing: with Chrome, you can recover all of your tabs when
Okay,
it restarts.
I'm going to try.
So I can tell you there's some sort of special code for it.
Yeah. The code is called this. Take the off ramp to fuck me over town. so that's what
But pay
Windows
the
just
toll.
did.
Make
Yeah,
sure
but
you pay the
toll
toll.
first.
It is a toll road to fuck me over town. Fuck me over town. Hey, anyone notice anything different about me?
You're wearing a blue shirt.
I am wearing an
And your
amazing grunt style
That's
shirt.
right.
And
And
came in.
should I point it out? Should I point out the other thing? I was just talking about the shirt. The other thing is you are freshly shaven.
I am freshly shaven.
What passed your Gesicht to do that?
I just, sometimes
Just a
yeah.
sperm of the moment kind of thing?
Exactly. That's very much what it was. So
Thank you.
I don't know how you get to the length you get to. I enjoyed my beard. It was a lot of fun. It felt good. It was warm. It's winter. And then it just got to the point where, like, I forgot what my chin looked like. I got nervous, honestly. And I know I have more than one, and I missed them. And I needed to have
was
it.
reminded of a joke.
Oh, God. And,
I knew a guy that had more chins than a Chinese phone book.
Yes, absolutely. And that,
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
and that was me. I get at least 2. There's sometimes I may have 3.
Why do you think BZ has a beard?
I know.
You can't tell. And my wife hates it.
It kills me. It kills me because
I was told, number one, in December, what do you think people say when they see me?
Santa.
Yes.
Santa.
And literally, I've had people walk up to me this past December, pat me on the back, and say, Santa, it's great to see you. And my standard reply is, thank you. I greatly appreciate being seen.
Right, because not everybody can.
What else can you say? Oh, my God.
Dan Butcher said that nothing looks different. I assume he means butt ass ugly, but he said bat ass ugly, BAT. I'm not arguing that.
Maybe he's had some kind of
Yeah, maybe there's something I'm missing.
something involving a bat's ass.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe bats' asses under examination
And
are particularly ugly.
And far be it for me to argue. I
No.
do not know a bat's ass like
I
he does.
Can't argue about the bat's ass
And
thing.
but I appreciate him, chiming immediately into that.
It came back.
What did?
It came back. Windows
Yeah, I told you it would.
refreshed, and Google asked me, say, do you want to restore?
I told you it would.
You were right. And
just
again,
had to
that's
listen to
why
me.
you're not him.
Well, exactly. And to get into what happened last night, most people don't know this, but I was asleep, or I wasn't fully asleep. I was almost all the way asleep. And I'm laying there falling into La La Land, and obviously I'd been gone for a week. I missed the show last week. I just trying to get caught up. Got back, saw the kids. Last night I did some stuff around the place, and then I was like, I'm gonna shut it down early. So I go to put my head down early, and of course, maybe you know this better than I do, BZ. As soon as you're ready to fall asleep, in the world of cell phones, it has a little thing called Do Not Disturb, which I use. That way.
Okay, I have never, and I don't know what it does.
Mm-hmm.
So are you surprised that I don't know what it does?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
Not at all. So Do Not Disturb, I don't know if they have it on Apple. I assume they do. I know they have it on Android. But it's a great device. You can set times, the whole thing, so it goes on. Your phone won't ring unless it is certain people that you've allowed access to after hours. Emails, Facebook, certain things will not go off and will not activate. You, my friend, have made the special list. You will penetrate the barrier of silence.
Okay, now I know where you're going.
Because in case of an emergency, I need to, if something's going on, I need to be able to help, right? You're on the team. You're in. So I'm laying in bed last night. I'm all snuggled down, ready to go to sleep. Early night. Had to get up early this morning, get things going. Bing, bing.
Oh, do I make noise?
Oh, yes, you do. Oh,
now see,
yes.
I have to be honest. By any noise coming out of this thing, I've muted. And that's just the standard default for BZ's phone, for every phone that BZ's ever had. I never activate my ringtone unless I'm expecting an incredibly important phone call.
Something very specific.
Whatever reason.
Right. And
I've got my bings and bongs and cheeps and peeps and ringtone. All that crap is off.
Well, and mine's only on for very, very specific reasons. So you're on that list. So I'm laying in bed, just.
Yeah, okay, I see this.
Wait, hold on. For those who are watching,
nappy
face on the pillow. Just ready to go, right? Just ready to go. Bing, bing. Now, I do some things, and for people who don't realize this, usually when our shows are on the air, I try to just check in for a second on Spreaker at least, make sure that I can hear that show every day. I try to do it every single day, make sure the audio is there, whatever, because I know if it's not there, I'm going to get that phone call. Or if something's going wrong, I'm going to get that phone call. And I like to try to be ready for it. So I always at least check in and listen to a little bit of each show, even if it's just a couple minutes. Like today, I listen to Jeff, the Lid Show, awesome. And I almost always, actually, a lot of times I'll eat dinner and on the nights I'm not here and watch BZ's show. It's just what I do.
Thank you.
But last night I did not. Last night I was like, all right. I checked in early, about 8:10.
Sounds good on BZ. I'll just hit the feathers and all will be well.
Everything
because I really need this extra sleep. It's been a particularly trying time at work,
right?
And your life is upside down. You're facing a lot of stressors, and for once,
I'm going to sleep.
You're about to go out, lights out, and then.
BZ. Bing, bing. And I quote, I think Facebook ate my fucking show. Well, I'm up. Let's see what's going on, shall we? But I knew I got the Facebook alert earlier in the night.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me because I remember seeing it come on. And
in my defense, in the defense of Facebook, I did not click it and see it live. I just got the notification, so I was like, all right, cool. I know BZ's all set, whatever. So when I got that, I'm like, well, now I have to know. Went back, looked for it, because I honestly thought maybe you had old man eyes.
And
totally possible.
Part of that text was, and I'm going to be honest about it, is... And I think I said specifically, if you can find the video, you're a better man than I, Gunga Din.
That's exactly what you said. So I went, searched all over for it, nothing.
I couldn't find it.
And I looked at a couple different things, and then I went into our settings to make sure everything was there, and it kind of looked right. I almost came over to the studio because as it was outed last week, I don't live far from the studio at all. So I almost came.
Well, you're within about a 3-mile radius.
Yes. So I almost put on my slippers and came walking over to the studio.
Your fuzzy bunny slippers.
My fuzzy bunnies.
They're the best slippers. I love them.
I like
and the suit that you wear, the Union Jack suit with the flap in the back.
Thank you.
It's a winner.
By the way, flap in the back, best invention any pair of pants I've
Hell
ever had.
yeah.
And so that I looked for it, I couldn't find it. So I'm saying, son of a bitch, what the hell's going on? So you and I texted back and forth, and then and we finished up and we made plans for today. And we talked a little bit about today. And I looked at the clock. I said, son of a bitch, it's almost midnight.
Who the fuck calls me up and texts me at damn midnight?
It was 10:30 when I started texting with you. I was about to go to sleep at 10:30. It was almost midnight. By the time I got through trying to help you out, making plans, getting everything done, it was almost goddamn midnight. And then I had the weirdest dream last night, BZ.
And I thought you were going to say, and then I was up for the rest of the night.
No, God, no, that wasn't going to happen.
Good.
But I did, it's so funny. You ever have a weird nightmare that makes no sense?
Every damn night.
Okay, so I have a couple ones that have come and gone through the years. This one I'd never had, and I don't often wake up scared from a dream. I'll wake up excited. I'll wake up with my heart wrenching. I'll wake up angry. I've had all of that. I don't often wake up scared. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, I have this dream that I walk into a room and it's poorly lit. It's like an office. And somebody hits me in the back of the head with a hammer.
What the crap?
And that's all I can remember from the dream. But it was so realistic. I felt the pain, or at least I thought I felt the pain. I know that when you dream, your body shut down, REM sleep, all these different things go on. You're not, very rarely are you moving. And if you are, you're a sleepwalker, but your body gets a narcotic or a drug that your body produces that keeps you dormant during your dreams to keep you from hurting yourself. But when I woke up, I swear to God, I felt the pain of being hit in the head with a hammer 2 or 3 times. In the back of the head, square in the back of the head. It was somebody from behind. And that was like I can't remember waking up scared from a dream like that before, ever. And there's nothing that triggered it. There's no reason to have it that doesn't relate to anything that's ever happened to me or close to happen to me. Nothing.
Let me throw this out there, since we've already we're 20 minutes into it, and this is kind of an interesting topic. It's no secret of what I used to do, and there are certain things that have occurred in my life that fall into the category of critical incidents, and there's been an assload of them in 41 years, as you might expect. The brain theater still plays occasionally a few of my critical incidents, just after that amount of time, just to keep me on my toes and make me take the off-ramp to fuck me over town.
Right.
So, have you ever been in a dream where something is happening, or you know it's about to happen, and you suspect that if you go 1 second longer, you're going to get killed?
Yes.
Have you ever gotten killed in a dream?
No.
I have not. And I've been told that it's impossible for you to be killed in a dream.
I've been very, very close, though.
I've been very, very close, but I can remember, and I don't hold dreams long. My wife does. She can remember all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
All sorts of dreams.
I'm not like that.
If I don't start writing something down, or if I don't verbally retell my dream within about 2 minutes of having woken up, it's lost. But every once in a while, these few dreams come back, and I wake up. And let me ask you this, and let me ask the people in chat as well. Folks in chat, have you ever been in such a predicament or a situation where something in your dream tells you that something really, really bad is going to happen, and you're either going to get killed or you're in the process of being killed?
Yes.
And you wake up?
Yes.
I have. You
yes.
have. I'm asking if anybody else in chat has. And
but that's why my dream was so weird, is because normally I get that sensation and I've woken up.
Right.
This was not. This was full blind attack. But go on. I'm sorry.
With a hammer. Okay, well, then.
It was ball peen because I saw it.
God, get out of my head. I was just going to be a fucktard and screw with you and say, was it a ball peen hammer?
Most certainly was a ball peen hammer.
Wow. Okay. Oh, righty.
Dirty and oily like a mechanic.
Did you wake up before you were potentially killed?
No. Yeah. So I woke up about the third strike.
Oh, you were hit. You were in the process of being hit.
Yeah. The first two, that's why I said I totally felt it. In the dream, I felt the pain of it. I felt the sharp, explosive pain in the back of my head.
Wow.
And it was right around the third time, actually it was the third time, that I woke up and I came up off the sheets. I was sweating. I probably screamed. I don't know. But that was the first time I've woken up petrified from a dream versus just like angry or in fight or flight mode or something like that. Audio-visual exclusion, adrenaline dump, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
That was all there. However, it was fear. I was in total fear mode, which is not a normal one for me. I was shaking and petrified.
I'll regale you with a fear dream, but have you ever had... Oh, by the way, my manners. Welcome to Mary Brockman. She's in chat.
Thank you.
Mike is in chat. Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy who isn't, is in chat. I mean, he is blind, but he's not unpleasant.
Right.
Rebecca is in chat. Mm-hmm. El Duce is in chat.
Second best newsman in the business.
And I just wanted to remind him that, technically it should be Il Duce, but who cares? In any event, and there's also one viewer. Now, back to recurring dreams.
Yes.
Have you had a recurring dream or a series of recurring dreams, anything like that? Because I certainly have. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, and I've spoken to some people in law enforcement, and I had this when I was working heavy on the street. I had my gun fails to fire dream numerous times. And it goes back, when I started, nobody had automatics. The only automatics we had on the department were the old, beautiful 1911. And we were authorized to carry a 1911, and I carried one for a while. Most people had revolvers. Mm-hmm. And I had a 4-inch Colt Python. I had a 6-inch chromed Python at one time that everybody called my pimp gun or the chrome bumper. One of the two. Take your pick.
I don't even want to know why you had it.
And I had it because I got a great deal on it from a guy named Rick, and I couldn't pass it up because I already had the 4-inch blued Python. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to sell my Python. And by the way, if you buy this Python, I'll give you my 6-inch Hoyt holster, which was a break front."
Right.
So at the time, a 6-inch Hoyt holster, that's a lot of money. You bet I'll take that. So I bought it for I did get it for a ridiculously cheap price, like $400.
Right. Well, that's a great price.
Which was a great price considering Colt doesn't even make the Python anymore.
Right.
They just recently started making a 38 Diamondback again, after having not made revolvers in a long time. But the dream is I'm holding a revolver and something terrible is in front of me. It is, in fact, another critical incident, and I'm squeezing, and I'm squeezing, and I'm squeezing, and I can't get the gun to function. I can't get it. I cannot pull the trigger hard enough. And then something bad invariably happens.
Yeah. I had something like, not without going too far into details, but unable to get out of a car and have somebody unload on the car.
Oh, yeah.
See it coming, too.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Unable to get out of the seat. It's funny. It was the seatbelt. Couldn't get the seatbelt off.
Oh, okay. Now that you went there, I'll go there, too. I'll follow this up with this. There's a really cool black dude. Unfortunately, he passed away. He was a friend of mine named Walt Horn. And he was older than me, but I used to go work with him every once in a while. And he retired, and he went on to work as a bailiff in the federal courts. Walt was a cool guy, but Walt's critical.
That's where a lot of cops go to retire.
Oh, they do. They do. He was wearing a blazer.
Yep.
And so Walt's thing was he made a vehicle stop on what was then 880 in Sacramento on a bad guy. And this was, again, back in the 70s in the sheriff's department. And Walt tried to get out of the car. The guy got out of the car ahead of him and just started emptying a revolver right at Walt. And Walt was stuck, just like your worst dream. He was stuck in the seat, couldn't get his seatbelt open, tried to open up his door, and it was later found that if he hadn't opened up his door, luckily all the shots hit part of the windshield and mostly the A-pillar and then the rim of the door itself. So Walt wasn't shot, and he was eventually able to kill the guy. But Walt told me that went through his brain every night for years.
Yeah.
Every night.
Well, you're right on the cusp, right? And when it's something that,
So you feared that? That actually happened to Walt Horn.
It's scary. That's scary, scary stuff. Absolutely petrified. But yeah, dreams are very, very strange.
We had a guy named Jarrett Beck, by the way, who got shot at twice in his career. The first time he got shot at a photo processing plant, a little photo processing shop on Auburn Boulevard in the middle of the night. Jarrett Beck used to work graves for a while. And he was another dude that was older than me. A guy shot him with a shotgun. Jarrett Beck was not wearing a bulletproof vest that night, but he got shot at a sufficient range and with a slightly less buck, hit him square in the badge, screwed up his badge. Jarrett Beck lived and returned fire.
Wow.
Then the capper, 1 week before retirement, in his last week in patrol, Jarrett Beck was on Watt Avenue, responded to an armed robbery, and as he was responding to an armed robbery, the getaway van came towards him. It was already identified. It stopped. The guy came out, jumped out of the van as he was approaching down Watt Avenue, and unloaded on Jarrett Beck again.
Unbelievable.
And Jarrett Beck survived.
And then hopefully retired.
Yeah, he retired that week. Dave Milner's right. God was watching over him then.
That
Twice.
week, I would have retired
Twice.
that hour.
And Jarrett Beck was the coolest guy. Low, slow, cool. Always had a cigar sticking out of his mouth. Just
Back when
one
you
of
could be
those
that
guys.
cool.
Yep.
Back when you could be that cool. Yeah, I'll tell you what your brain does with processed or reprocessed information, or sometimes just a collective, and then decide to re-vomit it out at you in the middle of the night when you're trying to rest, is absolutely frightening sometimes. Sometimes it's amazing, right? I've had amazing dreams of being a child and reliving some of my great family moments and stuff like that. I've had that joy too. I've had other dreams that if Clint was here, I certainly wouldn't mention because we'd never stop talking about it because we know what a pervert he is. But hold on, wait. Let me see. Let me just.
There's Clint.
He's got nothing to say right now.
Yeah.
Nothing, which is weird.
No.
Anywho,
Or have you ever had the flying dream?
no, I've never had the flying dream that I can
flying
recall.
Dream is so cool
That I can
to
recall.
have.
And that's my biggest problem is a lot of dreams I don't recall. I wish I could.
Like I said, my wife can have a dream, wake up, and talk at length about it. You wait anywhere past 2 minutes for me, gone.
Yeah.
Just evaporated.
And I've tried because everyone tells you, oh, you should keep something by the bed, and if you wake up, you have a dream, you can write it down. No.
No. Number one, I'd have to remember to do that in the first place. And there's the cat in the toilet right there.
What?
That's it. Mary Brockman in chat says, I have the whirlpool dream often. Now, the whirlpool dream, does that mean that you are like a cat in the toilet? You're in a whirlpool, and eventually you're going to go down to the bottom of the toilet? Is that kind of the
Or are you in a
whirlpool
sauna and
dream?
you're just sitting there like chilling out and...
And Dan Butcher's in chat. Hello to Dan Butcher. Dan Butcher right about now thinks, you fuck, what are you guys doing talking about dreams?
He just asked if this was Coast to Coast with George Norrie. You know, it's just one of those things, right? I haven't been here in a couple weeks, and I want to be able to get some.
And
of the
we're
stuff
going
out.
stream of consciousness here, and why not?
Well, and
it's your
because-
own damn show.
Right.
You can do anything you want.
And when we come back from break here, very, very soon.
Simone's going crazy in chat. She's telling us about all sorts of dreams.
Yeah. Go.
Oh, she is.
I know. But when we come back from break, it's going to get heavy. So I figured we'd get through the first 30 minutes kind of. I mean, not the.
Yeah, we're going to change gears.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like, getting punched in the back of the head, but yeah, whatever.
No.
all that and more right here. Stick around. When we come back, we start talking about the Florida shooting and the Susan Rice emails and a whole bunch of other things. BZ is going to make some connections between Florida and Vegas, and we'll go from there right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplanestalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
No surrender, ever.
because truth is not always pleasant.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk, the Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Just the last question that you really cut a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media
Ooh, there we are.
done right.
Yes.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
One more time for the kids at home. Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us.
Mary Brockman had I warded her comment of the night in chat.
Okay.
Because Mary Brockman said, I had a nightmare yesterday. I saw a fug ugly portrait of Obama in a garden. Okay, you win. There you go. I'm going to drop the mic now. Clunk.
Yeah.
That's it.
I if we have time at the end of the night, I would like to address both pictures.
You can't. I used to say you can't write this shit. Now I'm going to have to say you can't draw this shit.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
God.
It was really strange. Really strange. So we're going to go down right now. Obviously, it was a school shooting today. It took place down in Florida in Broward County. An expelled student by the name of Nicholas Cruz entered wearing a gas mask, allegedly had a AR-15 style rifle, and allegedly, potentially was trying to set off some sort of explosives. He walked in 10 minutes before the end of school, pulled the fire alarm knowing that everybody would evac into the hallways, pulled the fire alarm, gave a minute, and then began firing, which left 17 people dead and others wounded. The suspect, like I says, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, he was expelled from the school last year. He apparently, everybody they're interviewing now said there were more signs that this was going to happen.
And isn't that odd that when we turn things over in retrospect, we discover that that's exactly true?
Yes. First and foremost, a horrific incident, and nobody should have to live through this.
No. 17 kids dead, terrible.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of everybody who was involved. One of the victims who was shot but not killed was a son, I believe, of a responding deputy. A high school football coach shielding people with his body, protecting children. Just amazingly frightening moment. There was as I was coming here, I was listening to, I think it was Laura Ingram's show on Fox. It was in the car though, so I was listening. She was interviewing one of the youths that goes to the school. I don't want to say kid because I don't know if he was 18 or not, but one of the young adults that goes to the school. And he said that he was the kid. There was this part of the school that during lunchtime that the outcasts all sat together, the outcast kids. And if anyone's ever been to high school, we all know that they all have them.
Every high school has its cliques, and all the people that are in those cliques sit at their own table.
Yes. So, this kid was expelled from that group before he was expelled from the school. And it was like, wow. And the kid was saying, like, if you were set out of that group, that meant that your beliefs or what you were into or whatever was so extreme that the outcast didn't have you. And then as he was talking, he said that he had a friend of his who was tutoring this scumbag who was taken alive and is in custody, this Nicholas Cruz kid. And that there was some sort of bizarre incident with a weird sexual advance while he was being tutored, in which he was rejected, that he wouldn't go into specifics, but sounds like it began to trigger his downfall and eventually his expulsion from the school. But after that, everyone said, we all saw it coming. We all knew it was coming. This kid, everyone should have known it was coming.
Isn't that what they said in San Bernardino, in San Bernardino, about the husband and wife team?
Yes.
Yep, that's exactly what they said. Isn't that what everyone in the U.S. Army said when Sergeant Nidal Hassan corked off?
Yep, at Fort Hood.
At the Fort Hood shootings, 19 people killed in that one, numerous persons injured. But of course, in those two incidents, they didn't want to say anything because, well, the two folks were Muslim, and the guy was Muslim, and oh, wait, this guy is Hispanic, and now we're finding out some more about him. And I happen to dig this up, because everyone goes through the first thing that the media does, and anybody else, me, you, anybody can do this, is start going through social media. So photos of that Florida high school shooter make reference to a whole bunch of ideologies that he has, including communism, apparently a sympathy for ISIS, and voter records state that good old Nicholas Cruz was a Democrat.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I wonder what's going to get buried. All of that.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. So that's the other side of this is they haven't even officially notified all the families, and the political part of this is coming out. Look, we can argue the politics, but you have at the press conference tonight, Governor Scott, the Florida governor, was there at the press conference, and I don't know what media outlet it was, but hit him right away on gun control. How do you feel that you're pro-gun and something like this happened and you could have done something to change it? We had people get to the House floor as quickly as possible saying, oh, our inability to act on gun control caused this. Blah, 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 blah. And Governor Scott, to his credit, actually, no, I'm sorry. It was Sheriff Israel, Broward County Sheriff Israel, who said, hey, active shooter, guy in a van driving into a group of people, you're not going to mitigate all that. You're not going to be able to stop it.
No,
it's a mental illness.
This isn't. Thank you for going there. This isn't a firearm or a 2A crisis.
It's a mental illness crisis.
This is a mental illness crisis. Mm-hmm. And the people, just as you point out, and time and again it's being proven true, folks they see it, they think it, they don't want to say it, they don't want to speak it publicly. They may chat back and forth between a few folks, but no one wants to take the step of pointing a finger. And there are certain classes, air quotes, classes of individuals that politically these days, if you point fingers at them, that finger may come back and point directly at you as being another, fill in the blank for an ist.
Yes,
okay?
Some sort of ist. Homophobia ist.
So people's reticence to do this, in some cases I could submit that folks have been sort of slapped into this position by political correctness.
I agree on a lot of levels.
And the sad thing was California, unfortunately, took a step backwards, but it set the pace like California usually does in a bad way. And I must be honest, I was honest at the beginning of the show. In the 1960s, late 60s, then Governor Reagan was responsible for shutting down what used to be called sanitariums in the state of California. In other words,
state hospitals.
What that did, yes, they're called state hospitals, and folks know them as sanitariums.
Great song by Metallica, by the way.
Granted, some crazy stuff literally happened in them.
Not perfect.
To the patients,
yes.
Okay. But all the people that used to be taken care of now are the folks that are walking the streets and committing the crimes.
So,
and we've all decided we don't want to do a thing with them.
But here's the not funny part, but here's the part about sanitariums. They were closed a lot of times under the shaming guise of what the Nazis did in World War II. That was really the push behind it. Is that, hey, you have these state hospitals that are doing all these weird tests, and then they curtail that with the finances, and why is the state running this and that, and blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. What they don't realize is when you remove the state hospital, especially when it came to the criminally insane, once you've removed that, you now have nowhere to put the criminally insane. Yes, there are psych wards at the California Department of Corrections. There's some specific smaller units that can house the crazy of the crazy of the crazy, but it does not house the crazy who is potentially violent and crazy. People who it's been determined they can't care for themselves. And we've talked about this. There was an arsonist who was released from, I want to say, the Napa Valley State Hospital, because there's still a few state hospitals in existence.
In the state of California system, yes, there are.
They're not talked about, but they're a part of the Department of Corrections, I believe.
Yes, and they also fall under another category. But they're the people to whom, when you're found
not guilty by criminal insanity,
it's called Gabroy.
Yeah,
in Gabroy, not guilty by reason of insanity.
Right.
Then you cannot be released into the community. You have to be housed somewhere.
Right.
Or you're continuously placed under 5150,
right?
W&I, which is a Welfare and Institutions Code in the state of California, which says that
you're too cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to be out on your own.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
You're not wrong at all.
But there's no way for him. And we've talked about this every single time we have a shooting incident. And prior to you, and since you've been with us, it comes down to what state hospitals did that were actually good. Look, folks, right, wrong, or indifferent, if you have somebody who relies on a medication in order to keep them from being violent and insane, and you're relying on them to remember every day to take that medicine that keeps them from going violent and insane, You are now trusting a crazy person to self-medicate and not hurt somebody. And we can talk about how horrible it sounds and how dare I judge it and put this person, and nobody puts crazy baby in a corner. Blah, 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 blah. No, you do. And I know it's terrible and tragic.
Or you see these
but
results.
You do. Or this is what happens.
Because it's the end of the chain that's being responsible for this. So how do we encounter, and I know people who work in the mental health field are going to call me, oh, you're so politically incorrect, bad verbiage. I took all the stuff in cop school from the folks who said mental people, they with mental issues, they need love and they need to be treated with kid gloves.
They need to be hugged.
And I'll tell you, up front, I've said this before on the radio and I'll say it again, and I would tell this to my and sorry for the people that are listening, leftists, but my history proves this to be true, and I taught this to my trainees. There are two castes of people under which I will drop the hammer much more readily than any other. Number one is kids. And right now, everyone is screeching and saying, "Oh, BZ, how can you do that? That's horrible that you would consider shooting or killing a kid." Why, BZ? Because they have no concept of mortality. Mm-hmm. They have no concept of what they're doing, and they're insufficiently mentally ahead to grasp the concept of finality and death. As far as kids are concerned today, if something bad happens, they'll get another life.
Right, reset button. Which is why you see such juvenile violence that is such high level.
Yes.
And I've talked about this before with children. It is because this whole don't spank your kids, nobody loses, nobody gets hurt, there's no violence, nobody's allowed. They don't have that correlation.
Consequences.
But they don't have the correlation of pain. They don't understand what pain is like. So inflicting it upon somebody else is an after. They don't even think about it because they've never been hurt. And I've talked about this before. I can remember growing up getting smacked around enough that I know that if I hit somebody else, it would hurt. Now, that's baseline. That was my baseline. If I hit somebody else, it would hurt. And I could hurt them really bad. And I could feel bad about that. And then as it gets worse, well, you add a knife to it or a brick or a bat or a gun or whatever. I understood that anything beyond that was horrific and could pretend, but it was because I learned respect, discipline, and what pain was and why.
You have to have consequences, and there has to be discipline, and
Yes.
pain has to hurt because pain and bad situations are what? They're great teachers and great illustrators of what not to do. So when you raise an entire generation or a generation currently and the generation before that under the fact that, oh, everything is fine, we're not going to tell you no, there are no consequences.
Everything is awesome.
No one has the ability to judge you in any way, shape, or form. What you get are this. And I saw this just before I left the department because I've always been involved in training. For the past 10 years and a little bit more, we got nothing except for people with military experience. We got recruits through the academy who had never, ever, ever been struck in anger before. And when you had to go with ACB tactics, which is arrest control, baton usage, less than lethal weapons, firearms instruction, driver training, etc., they couldn't drive for shit. They couldn't shoot for shit. And they had very terrible manipulative skills. They'd never been told no, and they'd never experienced pain, and they'd never been twisted up.
No real stress.
Their life experience was
nil.
Almost nil.
Yeah.
And do you want a cop on the street like that?
Well, and it also comes down to no real stress, right? They think they've had stress.
Oh, they had, yes.
They think in their mind they've been stressed because they had a report due Monday morning at 10 a.m. Or they got an hour of after school in-house suspension or some ridiculousness. But it's different. It's not real life stress. They haven't worked a job. They haven't met a deadline. They haven't been blasted in the face. There's a comedian, Bill Burr, who talks about it all the time. You've never lived till you've been blasted in the face. You know, yeah, it hurts and your ears ring and your nose hurts and your eyes water, but it really kind of resets your thinking in life. Like
it does,
and it's 100% true. Every time I've been punched,
it does. And
this
is
been a lot.
BZ's problem-solving axiom is this, as everyone knows: there isn't a problem on the face of the fucking planet that can't be solved with one of two things: vodka or a throat punch.
Right. And it's 100% true. And then you have kids now in every walk of life who've never actually been blasted in the face or have never dealt with real stress in their lives, and they're just walking out and they're like, "Hey, yeah, this is," and I manage these kids now. And they're not all bad kids, but what they think is serious versus what is serious is a totally different world. But to go back to mental institutions and to go back to sanitariums or whatever, state hospitals, it's very, very different. There are facilities out there. Yes, there are group homes. There's some other things that are out there that care for some people who are unable to care for themselves. But the idea of having somewhere for the criminally insane and people who can't care for themselves and potentially could harm people if they're not monitored 24/7 is a realistic thing.
Where I was going to go is this. And, of course, I'm aged and I forgot where I was going to go. But the point is this. Since we don't have those facilities into which people can be placed, how we encounter the mentally ill is on the street. And they become the attention of law enforcement.
Huge.
And when they become the attention of law enforcement, they've probably already committed a crime or done something criminal, and then they get placed into the jail system. The jail system is the exact same place where they don't need to be treated because while they're there, jails are temporary. And you get bail, and you get OR, released on your own recognizance,
right.
And then you're put right back into the situation again because jails can't be packed with lots of people.
Right.
They've been sued up the ass, especially in the state of California. So just when you think that the best place maybe really is jail, the worst place for these people is jail because everything in jail is temporary.
Right. And that's the difference.
And it's a patch, and it's a terrible patch.
Well, and we talk about law enforcement right now. There's all this pressure for law enforcement to be dealing with the mental ill and all these other people who have these special needs and this person and that person. And they expect cops to be able to show up at a scene and immediately identify, okay, this person's obviously a paranoid schizophrenic. So what do? Well, I can't say anything aggressive. I can't look out of the left side of my eye because that could be justified as an aggressive action. If I look out of my right side of the eye, he might think I'm Adolf Hitler and try to kill me because he's paranoid schizophrenic. So I have to walk on my hand, and the whole time the guy's stabbing the cop with a knife. What do I do now? How should I react? I don't know how to...
That was my second category of people that I would drop the hammer at on willingly.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, because they have no sense of self, mortality, etc., no concept of reality, and the mental ill, just because you have to consider that people are pushing that you must treat the mental ill specially, and you cannot resort to violence, etc., etc.
They have the same mindset of kids. They don't have the idea of finality. And
many
pain.
of them do not have the capacity to realize what it is that they're doing at the time that they're doing it.
And you're not going to stop them.
And I'll tell you what, my philosophy was, and the philosophy of all of my partners, and that I instituted into all of my trainees is, look, I'm not taking a bullet or a knife up the crotch for your misguided piece of shit mental defect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going home at the end of the night. Mm-hmm. That ain't happening.
But you're also, you have to understand too, okay, that's just a law enforcement mentality. Now you're walking these people around schools, parks, places of businesses, all the other things. It's what predicates that call for service for law enforcement, what that person does prior. Sometimes it's as crazy as just walking around with their penis in their hand. Sometimes it's taking a dump, or sometimes it's walking into a school with an AR, pulling a fire alarm, and murdering 17 young souls.
Well, who in their right minds...
All of this could have been counteracted if we actually took mental health seriously. Look, everybody's saying it. Hey, we all knew this was coming. What were phone calls made? Were agencies notified? If the agencies were notified, then why? Why was this person not being dealt with appropriately? Is there a criminal record? Here's the other thing that I don't like that schools do. They have this.
I think I know where you're going on that one too.
This
and
guy,
you need to.
This guy was expelled for numerous violations at school, including violence. Was law enforcement notified, or did they deal with this in-house? And you could say, well, so what if they dealt with it in-house? Well, if he's blasted 15 people to the face on a regular basis, has a potential for violence, and they're not notifying authorities, it's kind of like when the military is not reporting certain things to the federal government, i.e. The Texas shooting, and they're keeping it in-house, so now it's not forbidding him from doing certain things like, owning a firearm. And I don't know how he got this weapon yet. It could be a friend's or relatives. I don't know.
We've not found the path to that
but
yet.
But it also has kept him out of the system that he obviously needed to be into. And I don't know if they have done that. But that is something that occurs as well. And I've talked about this with schools with my son, how they create this little pseudo-criminal justice system within the school. They don't go, when it's a criminal offense, they try to deal with it inside, but there's nobody wins, nobody loses, everyone gets along, there's no violence, blah, 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 blah. If this kid got to the point that he was expelled, and from what I understand, for some violent outbursts, was he charged? Was he not charged? And if he was not charged, why? It's a major question to ask. We have this tendency to try to shield. And I understand. Look, I don't think if two kids are behind a dumpster beating each other up that they need to be put into the criminal justice system. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But when you have a repetitive issue with one individual, at some point, and we all knew those kids growing up, where you're like, that kid's going to jail. Maybe not now. Maybe not in a few years. But that kid will have a number that will identify him and live in an 8x10 cell. That's going to happen. We all knew that kid growing up in high school. And at least I can recall growing up that a lot of those kids were put into the system appropriately. Police were called, hey, something's wrong here. Something needs to be dealt with here.
Here's another aspect that is not going to be mentioned by the American media maggots in this. It's this. The shooter's garb, the way he was dressed, is very similar to a style worn by ISIS fighters in Syria.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody ever noticed that yet. Now, you're not going to have anybody mention that
gas mask
as well. Now, the gas mask I did hear, which told me that, there's more coming. And that's the other thing.
They're searching his home right now.
They sent EOD units in to try to get, because we've seen this crap before.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, I can tell you when this went live, I was listening to Broward County, the police dispatch, because, I knew we'd be talking about it tonight. They identified him by name fairly quickly into the arrest, and they also were already into his search history on a computer, saying that he had already done research on bomb-making equipment. So EOD is currently at his house with a search warrant right now, trying to see if there's anything there to deal with.
Here's a photograph, and he's wearing a Communist Party shirt. Right there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's a lovely little Communist Party shirt for this guy.
Yep.
Woohoo! That's nice.
And it'd be interesting to see how his name was spelt. It's a very. I don't know if he's Cuban. I don't know what his family heritage is. And you can say, why does that matter? Well, it kind of does matter, because if he grew up with that communist ideology based on that, or, Nicholas spelt with a K is a very, very, very different way of spelling it. And it's just going to be interesting to see how that pans out. If you go through his social media, there's a whole bunch of real and not real social media pictures out there, so be aware.
I'm going to try to play this, and I'm going to have to go through the microphone because it's out of my cell phone. But there's a video that's out now of a student saying about that Parkland shooting. Everyone predicted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to see if I can play this and people can hear it.
Well, see if you can link it to me. Send it to me in a text, and I can hook it up to my phone and play it. We're going to be up against a break.
Oh, we are. There's a break. Okay, forget that.
While we're at break, you can text that to me, and I will put it on the air. We are up against a break. We come back. We talk more about the Florida shooting. We also have some other things to get into. I know, BZ, you wanted to talk about how this relates into the Las Vegas shooting. Susan Rice emails, Venezuela, DACA, and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk. The Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it again.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about? The last question we did cut a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Oh, God.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ, no communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know we have a lot to talk about. We're talking about, of course, the shooting today in Parkland, Florida. Just absolutely horrific. Before we go to break, though, we were talking about how a lot of people knew and how nothing was really said. And there's a video I'm going to play right now. Hopefully, if all goes as planned.
Well, I think you can. I think you can do it.
I think that talks about just how off this Nicholas Cruz was and how everybody knew it.
Honestly, honestly, a lot of people were saying that it was going to be him, stuff like that. We threw, a lot of kids threw jokes around like that, saying that he was the one to scoot up the school. But it turns out, everyone predicted it. That's crazy.
Well, he must have come onto campus then, right?
Yeah, he was on the 3rd floor. He knows the school layout. He knows where everyone would be at as of right now. He's been in his fire drills. He's prepared for this stuff.
That's a student saying that.
Right.
That's a student, a very astute student,
yes,
saying that because he'd been there, he knew exactly what he was doing the second he drove into whatever parking lot or wherever it is that he parked his automobile.
Mm-hmm.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He'd planned it out. Tactically, he knew the interior of the school because he'd gone there. He knew exactly what the results would be. It's like the Zodiac killer threatening to say that I'm going to put a bomb on the bus, and as the kiddies bounce out of the bus, I'll pick them off one by one.
Right.
So he pulls the alarm gets pulled, and he knows exactly what's going to happen. They all flood out of the classrooms, and it becomes an instant target-rich environment.
Yes, and he did just that, and he had a plan. Look, a couple things that we have to find out is where did the gun come from? 19 years old, AR-15. Did he purchase it? Was it given to him? Did he do what Sandy Hook did? Did he steal the gun? And the Sandy Hook shooter should not have possessed that weapon. It was not his.
Oh yeah, Dylan. I can't think of his name.
No, you're thinking of Dylan Roof in Florida. The Sandy Hook was I forget.
There was a guy in Colorado who was a nutcase kid who killed his mother,
took her gun,
and then I think that's the guy that went to the theater.
Right, and no, that was not.
I got that.
That was
screwed up.
the theater guy. That was all his. He's also
the theater guy had red hair. That much I remember.
And he's also one too. He had a whole bunch of bomb making stuff at his house. People forget about that too.
They're all nuts.
They are all nuts. Everybody. That's the one thing with all of these things. Look at the mass shooting at the church in Texas recently. Everyone knew that was coming. Everyone knew that guy was nuts. Everyone knew that was a problem. Again, mental health. The Air Force didn't report it. He never should have possessed the weapon.
Well, and that's the lovely federal government upon which everyone wants to rely
to fix all of this shit.
Yeah, that'll work.
So you look at that. We talked about Nadal Hassan. And now right up here, Pulse nightclub shooting. He was getting watched. He was watched. ISIS-inspired. We knew it. You had Disney call the law enforcement and say, hey, this guy's out of – something's wrong with this guy. By the way, Disneyland Intelligence, Disney World Intelligence, all former CIA, FBI, people who have body monitoring, they understand criminal activity. They hire the best of the best. They called local law enforcement and said, you need to watch him.
Because they know, very full well know, that place can be potentially a masterful target. How would you love to be able to get into Disneyland and kill people in the happiest place on earth?
Which is why it will never happen from the inside. I've talked about this before. You will never get an attack inside Disneyland. You might get the stabbing or something. You'll never get a mass attack inside Disneyland. They will never let it happen. Never, ever let it happen.
Well, I wonder why all these CIA guys and ex-FBI and professional law enforcement folks go to Disney. Probably
Money.
Because they pay pretty damn well.
Yeah, they pay
would be
pretty
my
well.
guess.
And from what I understand, pull out there's no stops. It's fully to the wall all the time. There's no screwing around. And I don't care what Disney says. If you've ever spent time in any of the Disneylands or Disney World, and you look around, you can see uniformed. You can see semi-uniformed, kind of like these low-key uniformed security officers. Then you can see the more corporate security officers. And they have some guys walking around in black polos and khaki pants.
Right. And they have people walking around in blazers.
Right. And the black shirt and the khaki pants are more like hey, you've been asked a whole bunch of times to do this and you're not doing it, and now we're here to kind of tell you have to. But there's also the ones you don't see. Usually, I've been told by a couple people who have worked there, the couple walking around with no kids, backpacks, and sunglasses. Usually a male and a female together, sometimes male and a male together. Usually contained inside those backpacks are their weapons. A lot of Secret Service tactics Disney uses and takes. There's a lot of guns in Disney.
And everybody tells me that each Disney facility is like Vietnam. It's like the tunnels of Cu Chi.
Yes.
It's like there are rabbit warrens everywhere where people can get from point A to point B without having to mix and go through the crowds.
Mm-hmm. And the things that they do, and you should say, why is this even important right now? Well, because they have all this information and technology, and they use all these different resources to try to stop terrorist incidents. And like the Pulse nightclub shooting, you had somebody like that contact the FBI and say, hey, this guy's an issue, and nothing was done. Same thing that we're probably going to see with this shooting today, sadly. There's a lot of people who said, hey, this kid's a problem. You just heard an eyewitness and other students say, we always joked that he was going to come shoot up the school. It was out there. Teachers said it was out there. All of these people knew it was out there, yet nothing was done whatsoever.
In the intelligence community, it's a triad, and it's called take, analysis, and digestion. The take is the raw intelligence itself. And you can like the NSA does nothing but gobble everything. And if the NSA is listening, as I'm sure they are, and when people say,
we didn't talk about the NSA shooting today.
The NSA, well, yeah, we haven't even gotten there yet. But when they
got
say
buried.
When they say, oh, the NSA doesn't do much, the NSA takes everything it can.
Mm-hmm.
If anything is digitized, they either have it or can get it. So when anybody tells you, oh, the alphabet agencies, no, they only do a limited well, we're discovering how there's a soft coup against a presidential candidate, his staff, a president-elect, and now a current president. So enough of this NSA, oh, they only do limited stuff. But you have take, then you have the analysis, and then you provide that analysis, and it's similar to what's been happening here. You had intelligence about what was going on. You have to analyze it to see if it's credible, and then you have to do something with it. That's where we're falling on our face. People are understanding that there are loons out there.
Yes.
They talk to them every day. Family members, alleged friends, associates, people at work or go to school next to them. And they're the ones who say, in retrospect, like this kid did, we saw this coming. Who listened?
Nobody.
And who spoke? You have to have a speaker.
Yes.
In a conversation. There's a messenger and a receiver. You have to have both of those things operating in order to get the information through. And people today know that in the PC world, it's PC to kill the messenger.
Very much so. Sadly. And here we are with, look at, you saw that in Las Vegas.
That's the association that I wanted to make. You and I talked at length about this. As a matter of fact, you and I had an SHR special report where we spoke about Las Vegas for over an hour.
Yes.
Just about Las Vegas.
Yes.
No other topic at all. And again, one of the critical things that you and I both said during that show was, look at all the things we know about all these other shooters, including this guy today, and look at how much we don't know about the Las Vegas shooting. You can't tell me that to this day that shooting doesn't smell like shite.
Yes.
Every day. And we are purposely being held out of the loop for some very specific, very special reason.
Look, the autopsy came out and they found that he had antidepressants, but not enough to affect his judgment that night.
Question. Okay, I hate to say this, but question, Sean, do you believe that?
No. How would we ever know?
How would you know?
Right. The toxicology information.
And now I've been pulled kicking and screaming because of all this bullshit. People talk about fake news. How can the average American, with the mainstream media insisting again and again and again that it's the... True. with mainstream media insisting that it's the only real credible source of actual truth,
Ever.
justice, and the American way,
Ever.
and then they're exposed day in and day out as lying to us, bald, naked lies, repeatedly, and obfuscating purposely or withholding information because it doesn't conform to the meme that they wish to push at the time that they wish to push it.
It is the strangest thing to me how many times mainstream media has been destroyed as a liar, and nobody, and I mean nobody, has done shit to respond.
And then they're shocked. They're shocked. They're shocked.
But people
you don't trust us.
Yeah.
Are you? Oh, that can't be. No. We talked about last night, Dan. I found an article from a New York Times editor who said that paper, in terms of newspapers, will be dead in 10 years. Dan Butcher said, it's not going to be 10 years. It's going to be less than that.
Yeah.
So, why are newspapers...
Dan's always said that, too.
Why are newspapers bleeding and hemorrhaging readers and advertisers? Number one, they can't compete. Number two, nobody believes them anymore.
Right.
They've been, and if there's one thing that the guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head is exposed, is how shallow and how biased are the American media maggots. Anyway, we suspected it, but now we know for a fucking fact that they are biased, and in many cases, the truth completely escapes them because they want the truth to escape.
Well, you know what's funny too is we've talked about this time and again. It doesn't matter what social media, mainstream media says. People just keep going back to it. We love these people. We have to. Why would CNN lie to us? Well, because they've lied to you 52 times. Yeah, but why would they lie to us now? And actually, to the point that Tucker Carlson just did a whole thing on CNN being on in airports. And the long and short of it is because the airports are controlled usually by government in some way, shape, or form.
And that's palatable. That's palatable to them.
Yes.
Because that's what they perceive. Leftists perceive that the middle is the left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Leftists perceive that what we consider to be left as the middle.
Right.
Which is why, thank God, the Democrats are going to double down. They're going to double down on stupid and double down on going left.
Let them.
Later this year. Thank God.
God, let them. Please let them double down.
You know they are. Here's the other thing that I said last night. What do we have in the wings? You well know this, Sean, sir.
Yes.
You well know this. Governor Brown's going away.
Yes.
Who are we going to get to replace
Gavin Newsom.
him? There you go. Thank you very much. What do we know about Gavin Newsom?
Further
Gavin
left.
Newsom thinks Jerry Brown is insufficiently left for the left.
Oh, he thinks Jerry Brown's a centrist.
So if folks, if you think that California is fucking insane,
wait.
Wait,
You
haven't seen left yet.
It gets a little bit more crazy
It's like I say about socialism. Every new dictator thinks they can do socialism better than the last guy.
Absolutely perfect.
Gavin Newsom will be no different.
Oh, Gavin's worse. That's the thing people don't realize is Gavin Newsom is 10 times worse. And this is what listen, Jerry Brown was the Hillary Clinton of California governors. About control, he was more right or more center than many of the other people in the field. Even in his own party, he is far closer to the center. Look at, he gets a decent rating from the NRA. He hasn't gone after guns. He's as much as he could have.
No, that's very true, and that shit's going to end.
Oh, it will end under Newsom, and that's the thing that's absolutely frightening. Is they could pass 1 billion bills in the world, and the governor will tell them, "We're not signing that. I'm not signing that. I'm not signing that."
It doesn't stop him from pushing that shit on his desk, though.
Right, but he has vetoed or said no, or sent it back and asked for revisions. There's some level of understanding, I think, that even in Jerry Brown's crazy brain, that he's like, nah, this is a step too far. that group behind him, the Newsoms of the world, the Darrell Steinbergs.
Oh, they're going to fill that vacuum, boys and girls.
But you look at that on a state level versus a federal level, and the feds line up perfect. Look, yeah, Hillary Clinton lost last time. Most people don't want to admit it. She's not far progressive left as Bernie and some of the other people. Not Gary Newsom, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, all these other people who are waiting, Kamala Harris, waiting in the wings right now.
My God. Now, let me throw this out for you and for the people that are listening. Can you imagine what would have happened had Hillary not screwed the pooch and wasn't able to screw over Bernie Sanders, and then Bernie Sanders is installed as the Democrat nominee?
Right.
What's Bernie's philosophy with money?
Total socialism.
Oh, he would have gone after all the donors, all the corporations.
Yes.
Funds would have dried up because everyone would have. Basically, what they were saying, I'm sure, to Hillary Clinton, sub rosa, is, if you put Bernie Sanders in there, he's going to cut off my nuts, my money, and guess what I'm going to do to you?
Cut it off.
Your funding stops, babe.
Yeah, it ends. It goes away. Ciao.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, and I think even the Democrats knew that, right? So the inner Democrat Party, I think, knows that if Bernie Sanders won the nomination, he definitely would have got smoked nationally. Nationally. And they knew that, which is, and I'm not saying that it was the right thing to do, and so nobody jumped down my throat. But that is why they swiped that nomination from him. Look, the Democrats, by and large, want to go full communist. That's a known fact. That's a known fact. It's out there.
Hillary Clinton was a loon, but she wasn't sufficiently stupid to realize that you can't kill the donor class.
Well, and Hillary cares about Hillary. And Bernie cares about Bernie, but he's also a socialist. I don't think Hillary's as much as a socialist as she is more of a dictator.
No, she's
a dictator.
She's a pragmatist in terms of cash.
Yes.
Cash speaks.
And power.
And she's listening.
It's cash and power.
Yep.
She is a dictator, but not
the
a
Frank
socialist.
Underwood syndrome. Exactly.
Yeah, but just more of like, just as long as she's in power, everything else would kind of happen. And to maintain power, she would have played to the centrist and a lot of gun control stuff. She could say what she wants. She wouldn't have passed it because she would have wanted to get reelected. Now, her last 2 years, she would have been the most dangerous if she got elected the first time and then reelected again, because she would have gone after all of that, because she would have been lining up for the progressives afterwards, because that's what they do. They line it up for the next person, which is why from Obama, honestly, the natural progression from Obama would have been Bernie. And that's why the party was going that way, because Obama was much further left than Hillary. That's a fact.
Oh, God,
So
yes.
for the Democrats to skip back to somebody who is, and I'm not saying she's a true centrist or anything like that. She's further left than Bill was. I get who Hillary Clinton was. I'm talking comparing.
Yes, you're comparing
Bernie
her
to Hillary
and the burn.
If you go too far left, the type of president that Hillary would be, that power-hungry, just control freak, would have gone away, because Bernie...
You would have felt the burn.
You would have felt the burn, and you would have felt it bad. And that's what brings us to where we are with progressives and leftists and the voting process this time around. I hope they double down. I hope they double down. You know what? Fucking run Hillary again. Let's do round 2 Electric Boogaloo. I'm all for it.
She was saying, yeah, I'll be back for 2020. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was saying she needs to be back, and it's all about women, because it's all the United States is packed with nothing but misogynists. So you women out there that are listening that didn't vote the Hill, you, and I'm pointing my finger right at you, you are misogynists.
Yes.
You evil bitches.
Yes.
That you didn't vote for one of your own.
You were tremendous.
You're going straight to women hell. And didn't they say that? Totally. There's a special place in hell for women that don't vote for women. That was stated, if you recall.
Yeah, God forbid you had your own thought process.
No.
Or you're a capitalist. Or you're a small business owner.
It's all about identity politics, and if you don't toe the line, you're going to identity politics.
Hell.
You know, I'm not going to give up on Las Vegas, and I'm not going to give up on this thing about the memo and the dossier, because I've distilled things down to this. Basically what happened is that Hillary Clinton, and I know we're not going here, but this just entered my brainulus. Hillary Clinton went out and she purchased a warrant to spy on a private person and an entire presidential campaign.
Yes.
Boom. That's it. Microphone dropped. I just summed it up for everybody that wonders, what the fuck is this dossier memo crap about?
Right. And
involving Hillary Clinton, and it all goes back to Hillary Clinton. Yes. What would happen if on November 9th, or even that night, November 8th, instead of Johnny Boy getting shoved out there for her, what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had walked out on the stage and said, you know, in retrospect, we ran a campaign that now has proven to be flawed. I apologize to all my Democrat supporters. I'm going to concede. And you won. You ran a hard campaign, a difficult campaign. But I thank you for all your hard work. And Donald John Trump, much to my chagrin, is now the president. Right. And then the meme the very next day became, because it's written, and there's evidence of this, within the next 24 hours following her loss to the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, there were plans and meetings instigated in which it was decided that the meme, the reason, you can't blame Hillary, she can't ever lose, so the reason was Trump, Russia, Trump. That was generated right after her loss. And once she decided to go there, then all the corruption, all the collusion, yes. What are we discovering? It's not on the part of Donald John Trump. It's on the part of the Democrats, and that was all exposed because Hillary couldn't admit she was defeated.
Well, and so let's kick back a little bit further, too. You spoke of Podesta getting thrown out there. What about all the Podesta emails?
Oh, yeah. And
everyone forgets about that. What about the DNC emails?
What about the dipshit that doesn't know not to click on a link in an email that you're not familiar with?
But even more so, you start going to...
And all of that comes out.
I am laughing because as your misogynist comments were made, of course, I have friends and people in my life who get kicks out of things like that and send me things that absolutely are horrific. Be it not horrific, amazingly funny, but inappropriate, misogynist. It's just perfect. And a great one about North Korean bobsled. But either way. But yeah, you go back to the Podesta emails and the Debbie Wasserman Schultz emails. You're talking about not running a good campaign. Everyone thinks that this dossier and the FISA warrants were the beginning of everything that the DNC and Hillary did that was underhanded. No. Let's go back to when Bernie was shut out and it was stolen from him. Let's go back, and we only have 2 minutes left before the break, and we can get back into the memos and dossiers afterwards. But let's go back to the Podesta emails where they're talking about targeting certain people, how to steal the election. You had Debbie Wasserman Schultz fired because the DNC was so corrupt. And then her personal computer person for the DNC fled the country or was trying to flee the country because of charges. And let's talk about the Hillary Clinton server at her house. And everyone wants to make it about these fucking dossiers and Russia. And that it's just these things. It's these little things. And we find out that Comey screwed the pooch, not accidentally. It wasn't incompetent. He was intentionally lubing up the puppy and jamming it in over and fucking over and over again. And everybody forgets all that other shit that happened.
Purposely so by the mainstream maggots.
So.
They are the cats of the world. They step into the sandbox, and if the Democrats shit themselves, the job of the American media maggots is to cover the sand. Cover the sand, cover the shit, move on. Nothing to see here, nothing to smell.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and that's what it comes down to. Folks, we're up against a break. We come back. I want to talk about the Susan Rice email. I want to talk a little bit about the third memo that's coming out and still get into that whole FISA, just the shit show of this
There's so
memo
much.
that dropped
There's so much to
and was
talk
ignored by mainstream media. All that and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Do me a favor, stick around. We'll be right the hell back. Normally there's a...
I'm looking at you, mister. I'm looking at you.
Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chim Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drums of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
This is Jersey Joe, host of the Reaver of Common Sense, and you're listening to SHRmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for sticking with us here. It is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. We're in the last 30 minutes of the show. Before we went to break, we started talking about the FISA court memos and the dossier and things that we've talked about a few times here. I think we got to it just before I left for my trip. But the long and short, as BZ said, is it was a soft coup.
That's why I'm not giving it up. I have to say, sometimes I like Sean Hannity, sometimes I don't. But I have to say that Sean Hannity is being abso-fucking-lutely tenacious.
It has to be.
Nobody
else is.
Because, well, yes, number one, nobody else is. And number two, folks, you have to understand this really was a damn coup attempt. And I submit it's still going on in a way,
yes,
on many, many levels
and
right
even
now
if
against a duly elected government.
And even if it's dead immediately, even if it died, it's not going on. The simple fact of the matter is this took place during the election and after the election, during transition period, it looks like. And then you have the weird Susan Rice email to herself. Now, we both discussed sending emails to oneself is not all that weird. It's a good reminder policy, etc. But do you have, BZ, the text of the Susan Rice email? Do you have that up?
Let's see.
Because I want everyone to be able to hear it, and if you don't, I'll see if I can find it really quick.
Okay, what happened is that I don't have any audio for it, obviously.
No, I just want you to read the text.
But basically what happened is it was an Inauguration Day email where she was National Security Advisor then, Susan Rice, for Barack Obama. And she detailed a meeting that occurred with Obama, with Comey, and some others. In his opening statement at the time to the Senate Intelligence Committee, Comey downplayed his meetings with then-President Barack Obama, contrasting them with the numerous conversations he had with President Trump before his firing. I spoke alone with President Obama twice in person and never on the phone, once in 2015 to discuss law enforcement policy issues, and a second time briefly for him to say goodbye in late 2016, Comey said in a written statement. And yet, Chuck Grassley of Iowa and Lindsey Graham, they released an email in which Susan Rice sent it to herself on Inauguration Day.
Very weird timing.
2017. And in that memo, it details that Oval Office meeting on January 5th. Okay. 15 days earlier with Obama, Comey, I think Joe Biden was in it. And here's where Sally Yates' name comes up, because at the time she was Deputy Attorney General. And another reason that a lot of this stinks. The quote is, and this is what Susan Rice wrote, President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement communities by the book. And that's what she wrote. The president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would by the book.
By the book.
Okay, number one, that's a lie. But number two, what is the pressing need? What is the immediate and pressing need to say that? Now, is that a copy right there?
Yes.
Of the email?
Yeah.
Can you read that?
Yes, I can actually. So,
because I can't, obviously,
I'm going to put my glasses on. There we go. So it's from Susan Rice to Susan Rice. It was CC'd to a Curtis Reed. Now, on January 5th, following a briefing by IC leadership on Russian hacking during the 2016 presidential election, President Obama had a brief follow-on conversation with FBI Director Jim Comey, Attorney General Deputy AG Sally Yates in the Oval Office. Vice President Biden and I were also present. President Obama began the conversation by stressing a continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of the issue be handled by intelligence and law enforcement communities, quote-unquote, by the book. The president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from law enforcement. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as they would normally by the book. Again, noting that by the book part. From a national security perspective, however, President Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the incoming team, we are mindful to ascertain if there is any reason that we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia. I have all sorts of flags with this. BZ, first and foremost, the fact that she's emailing the by the book in quotes is bizarre to me. It's almost like you're creating a fake backstory.
Folks probably can't see this, but I'm looking at the.
I'm going to see if I can save it and maybe put it up on on the live stream.
People can't see it, but what I'm looking at the inside the studio SHR monitor, there's the text of the email that Sean just read. Then below that is a massive black box of clearly redacted stuff that no one wants you to know about.
Right. And give me a second. I'm going to put it up here, so give me a second.
Why is that?
Why is it there?
Okay, and then listen to this, because this is outing themselves in what you wrote. Rice wrote that Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the incoming team, we are mindful to ascertain if there is any reason we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia. Weren't we looking for some kind of evidence linking Obama
to Russia?
To Russia?
Yes.
To the Trump campaign?
Yes.
To the dossier? To the FISA warrant? To the FISA court?
Well,
to me, Susan Rice, by writing this, provided some Sialoom sticks that she just threw in the dead of night,
Indicia.
illuminating the path to Barack Obama.
I don't know. This is indicia.
Seems to me.
Right? This is evidence. And the fact that they would withhold information as it relates to Russia, you don't get to make that choice.
Yeah, but it's right. But it's not just about Russia.
Right.
Okay, here's the other thing that people need to know. The president, upon becoming a president-elect, becomes subject to the same PDB that the current president does. The PDB is the president's daily briefing. So, Trump is going to hear, in terms of intelligence,
everything,
the exact same crap,
or
that
should be.
That well, theoretically, if the intelligence agencies are playing by the book,
right?
Imagine that. But he gets to see the same shite that Obama does. Now, why does she write, the president asked Comey to inform him if anything changes in the next few weeks that should affect how we share classified information with the incoming team. Comey said he would, until we discovered that he didn't.
Right. Did not and refused to, which is even kind of funnier.
But earlier, this is before Inauguration Day.
Yes.
The Obama White House was justifiably concerned about how comprehensive they should be in their briefings regarding Russia to members of the Trump transition team, because they knew they had a warrant out on him.
Yes.
Through FISA.
Right.
This is another, taking an assload of big box, a 10-pound box of Sialoom sticks in the dead of night and throwing them down the path that leads directly to all these people in this meeting that she documents in an email. They knew what the fuck was going on and said, well, we can't talk to Trump about Russia, parenthesis, because he's being investigated.
Well, and here's the thing. They lay out enough to make it seem like the up and up. They knew Susan Rice, and remember, Susan Rice is the one who called Benghazi. She was
the spokes boob.
She was Bo Bergdahl was a good guy
who went out, and it was her job to say, "Oh, Benghazi doesn't mean anything. Benghazi's four Americans killed. Screw them."
Right. Every Sunday morning talk show, she hit them all.
Yep.
Bo Bergdahl. He was an American hero.
Great guy,
American hero.
What a great guy that
just misunderstood. That's all that really was.
Well, most people leftists are misunderstood.
So that's who Susan Rice is. She was the propaganda machine in a lot of ways. And here we are with this email, which is obviously a propaganda email. They knew this would be found and brought out at some point, right? So what is this? This is them saying, let's make this look as squeaky clean
to
the uneducated person that we're doing everything by the book, and that even though we're not doing anything wrong, we're going to investigate things appropriately and make sure that things are handled properly for the incoming team.
It's an attempt to make it look like I've documented what I've done here. You see, Susan Rice says, is I'm documenting how wonderful we were
There you go.
in the transition, because why would you feel the need to document how wonderful you were during a potential transition from president to president, unless the quote attributed to William Shakespeare comes to mind is, methinks thou doth protest too much.
Yes.
Meaning, if you don't really think there's an issue, why are you coming out and making it an issue if it's not an issue?
I'm looking for a clip, and I used to play this all the time, and I haven't played it for a long time for the good people here, but this is exactly what is going on here.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to read this. Rice's attorney, Catherine Remler, however, said there was, quote, nothing unusual about Rice, quote, memorializing an important discussion for the record. It's just another email. It's just another hour. It's just another day. The Obama White House was justifiably concerned about how comprehensive they should be in their briefings regarding Russia to members of the Trump transition team, particularly Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, given the concerning communications between him and Russia officials. Rumler said in a statement to Fox News, stop. What did we learn? Through the FBI and its line-level agents, which is why I tend to trust this. The line-level agents who interviewed Michael Flynn said, we don't think he lied. Did anyone happen to see that story?
Nope.
The agents doing the interview do not believe that Michael Flynn lied.
Right.
Well, of all the people having an interface with Michael Flynn because of those series of topics, who might know best about whether Michael Flynn lied? Because not only were they there face to face and got to adjudge what it is that he said specifically, but more importantly, body language specifically, frequently, says much more than do vocalizations.
Well, yes. BZ, I'm going to play a song, and this is from a famous movie, Paramount Pictures.
Paul Ekman, folks. Go quick like a bunny and go look up Paul Ekman, E-K-M-A-N, and tell me what he thinks in terms of micro-expressions and series of micro-expressions. I learned this crap, and that's why you interview people. You don't just listen to them.
You watch them.
You hear what they say, and that's also why it's better to have two people in a room when you interview somebody, because an interviewer is going to overlook something that somebody else may see. Mm-hmm. So you listen to the vocalization of what is being said, and you also watch the expressions and the body dynamics of the person making the statements.
Yes, you do.
That's why I tend to believe what the FBI said about Michael Flynn.
So when we talk about this email with Susan Rice, and we play this a lot during the Obama administration, and I'm going to play this again, and it's going to make you laugh, but it also is so perfectly in line with everything that they were trying to do, including the Clintons and Democrats in general. Oh, wait, in theory, son of a bitch, PZ, I had it. I was there.
It was so close.
We were good.
And yet so far.
We were so good. Wait, almost. There it is.
I can smell it.
Here we go.
Ooh, I love to dance, little sidestep. Now they see me, now they don't. I've come and gone. And ooh, I love to sweep around a wide step. Cut a little swath, then leave the people on.
It's Charles Durning, originally from the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
That's Charles Durning?
That is Charles Durning.
Wow.
And if you don't know the movie, essentially he's the Texas governor. He keeps getting caught in a controversy, and he keeps dancing his way out of it and putting things in front and sidestepping, essentially, everything the Obama administration did. And look, from the beginning until the end, the Democrats, Obama, you look at what they had done what they have ignored, what they've tried to hide, what they've tried to cover, what they've tried to go back, and even the investigation. Look, the investigation on Flynn was done by Obama's DOJ. The investigation on Hillary done by Obama's DOJ. I would love investigation into so much shit done by Obama's DOJ. Hey, look it.
Back it up even further.
Let's go to what's her face? Bill Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch on the plane. I'll go even further. Let's go back to who was before Loretta Lynch? What was that boob's name?
Good old Holder.
Eric Holder, choosing not to prosecute himself after being found in contempt by the House.
Contempt, yes, exactly.
I'll go a step further than that. What about Brian Terry, Fast and the Furious, gun walking, gun running, all of these different things from the beginning?
And it's all innocent. It's all innocent. What difference, after all, now does it make?
And I won't get into race baiting, calling police departments stupid. Sending DOJ investigators to certain police departments because they didn't like how things went down. Picking sides as an administration between two Americans where the criminal justice system should have been allowed to play things out. No, they had gone from the beginning and they were picking a side of one American against another.
Ferguson?
And getting people in an uproar. And it started before Ferguson. It started with Professor Robert Gates.
Oh, yes, it did.
Cambridge, Massachusetts, saying that the Cambridge Police Department acted stupidly when they knew nothing about the investigation. And then he tried a fucking beer summit to try to make it. That was 2 months into his administration. Folks, from the beginning, the Democrats, the Obama administration, the Clintons, everybody on that side of the fence, Bernie, they're all involved in this manipulation. Look at Warren, Elizabeth Warren lying on her application to get into Harvard saying that she was part Native American.
Today,
She's not Native American.
Today.
Thank you.
Today, she said again in front of a
Pocahontas.
whole bunch of Native Americans, I'm proud of my Cherokee tradition.
Yes.
And did anyone realize or catch the fact that some people of the Cherokee Nation said in the article, it was given like maybe this much time, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
That a number of people in the Cherokee Nation said, she's not a member of us.
She's not even close.
She doesn't have anything. She doesn't have enough to claim that she's a Native American.
At all.
We call bullshit on that one.
Right.
And I was about to call Ferguson on this.
Sitting bullshit.
Yeah, thank you. I like that one. You mentioned FBI agents.
Yes.
Good old AG sent 100 FBI agents, 100 FBI agents to Ferguson.
Yep.
To Darrell Wilson to excoriate and flame his ass.
And what did they find?
That investigation turned up the fact that it was a good shooting.
Yeah. And they tried
a number of the witnesses lied.
And
hands up, don't shoot. Bullshit.
And after they did the investigation, what happened? They had the DOJ investigators stick around and try to get into the nitty-gritty of that department because, okay, this one shooting's good, but obviously Ferguson's a problem department. And they got into it, and a lot of stuff was just more procedural than actual functioning.
They write too many tickets to blacks.
Right.
Wait a minute. What's the rationale for that, and what's
the population
makeup of Ferguson?
Oh yeah, well it's 80%, and they write 80% African Americans tickets, but we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Look at, we saw it with Freddie Gray, same thing. We saw it with Trayvon Martin. Same thing. We've seen it time and again with them trying to manipulate the masses via media.
By the way, Freddie Gray, why was he on that corner selling Lucy's? Does anybody know what a Lucy is? Let me tell you. Freddie Gray was selling illegal cigarettes. Why did cigarettes become illegal in the city of New York? Because the city of New York had a proscription against selling cigarettes. So if you wanted to make a profit to people who smoked, then you went to somebody that you knew, like Freddie Gray, who was selling Lucy's. That means that he was selling loose cigarettes one by one by one.
Had an illegal knife on him.
And then if you get a complaint from the store, somebody is saying, well, look, I make a profit This guy's selling material directly in front of my store, and I don't think that's right.
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
And then the cops walk up, and he resists, and the cops should have done what? Oh, I'm sorry, you're resisting. You keep on with that bad
so you're thinking
behavior.
of Garner. I'm talking about Freddie Gray. Freddie
I-
Gray's
oh,
Baltimore.
he's Baltimore.
You're
Okay.
thinking of Eric Garner.
Okay.
Right. Baltimore's Freddie Gray, a known drug dealer who, upon being seen by police officers, fled.
Yeah.
And then, as the van, his partner, who's taken into custody, the partner in the van, his criminal partner, who's on the other side of the partition, was initially interviewed saying that he heard Freddie Gray throwing himself into the van wall, trying to hurt himself.
And then
making
Mobley
statements.
decided that there was going to be a prosecution and a push
Right.
to convict or to try
Huge
all five.
prosecution.
All five of these
Zero.
officers.
Bupkis. Nothing came out of it.
A female black sergeant as well. Bus, meet her.
Yep.
And nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
All of them were found to have acted properly.
Eric Garner. Let's go to Eric Garner. Same thing, like you said, selling Lucy's in New York City.
So New York police,
If he didn't resist.
met with resistance, then the new running theme is, okay, well, we throw up our arms. We can't have a bad guy die because he's resisting. So, Eric, do your thing. Go ahead. Keep selling, dude.
Yeah.
Now take that to dope. Now take that to guns.
Well,
Take that to
but
drugs.
more importantly, it goes back to the business owner, right, who gets nailed with these taxes and has to pay.
And is trying to conduct a business to pay the
right.
taxes.
And like you said, you do that with alcohol out in front. Do it with milk. Have you ever tried to sell milk illegally or any produce illegally? Holy shit, they'll kill you.
In this state, they will.
Well, New York City's no different. You go out to New York City, try to be a hot dog vendor without a license. Try to drive a cab without a medallion.
Oh, you would have thought that somebody held a kitten in their hand and shot him in the head.
Yes. And that's how serious it is. And why is it that serious? Is because the taxes are so high on those industries that they demand that law enforcement respond and deal with those who are circumventing and sidestepping the law.
And so guess what? They did.
And somebody died.
And those things happen.
Now let's go
And
down
they-
to South Carolina, the
they were
shooting in
evil.
South Carolina. Amazingly, as soon as it came out and everyone saw the video, they said, yeah, that cop was wrong. He needs to go to jail. He murdered him.
Yeah. And guess what?
That's exactly what happened.
And he went to jail?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. He didn't go to jail. He went to prison.
Yeah, he went to prison for a long time.
The rest of his life.
As he should have.
As he should have. The system
worked.
Does work.
But when we go back to the left, Democrats, these letters, FISA, Susan Rice, all of it, everything for the 8 years of the Obama administration and some afterwards and a little bit before, what do you see by and large? You see manipulation of the system at every single turn. Folks, Bill Clinton sat with Loretta Lynch, who was investigating Hillary Clinton, on a tarmac after they were both told by their handlers this is not a good idea. And they had a meeting on a tarmac, which, by the way, is in a controlled FAA space and no news media out there. No, that is a secret, essentially, location on planes where they, you're investigating my wife. Let's talk about grandchildren. Loretta, we go back so far, you and I. Let's talk about our grandchildren. Bullshit.
I have good news.
And everybody knew it was bullshit.
You want to hear the good news? The good news is the DNC and the rest of the Democrats have decided that they are not going to trot out Bill Clinton for the midterms.
Oh, why?
Oh, gee, I can't understand that one. And they feel bad about it. Oh, we have to kick Bill to the curb.
No. And you know who doesn't feel bad about that is Bill Clinton. I think Bill's stoked because he's like, oh, good, I don't have to do this shit anymore. I can get on the Lolita Express, go down to the islands for a few days and relax. I can finally get away from the hill dog.
We got one more minute before the end of the show. You want to hear the final bit of good news?
Yes.
The DNC's bankrupt.
Only a little bit. It's like being kind of pregnant, right?
Go
really kind of bankrupt.
Go fund all that crap now. Good luck with that.
They bankrupt the DNC and then they want to run the country and expect you to trust them with their money.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah,
it's the best.
And who has the most control over DNC money? There's no Republican input on that whatsoever, is there? It's entirely controlled by the Democrats.
It would be the equivalent of the post office trying to take over UPS. Post office loses billions of dollars a year. It would be the same as them taking over the UPS. Why would you? It's the fox in the hen house. Why? They can't control their own funds. Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show on February 14th.
Holy
Valentine's
crap.
Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
And to
Valentine's
my lovely
Day.
wife, happy anniversary.
And
Because I
congratulations,
was smart
good sir.
enough to get married on a day I can remember.
Yes, you did. Wisely, too. We'll be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Of course, tomorrow night. I'll be back. BZ will be off next week. All of next week he'll
I
be
will
off,
be here
but he will be here tomorrow night.
I will be here tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
Dr.
night,
Michael
the
Jones is going to be on. We're going to talk constitutional issues, DACA, impeachment, and a whole bunch of buttery political goodness as well.
Well, holy batshit, man. That's going to be an amazing
right.
show. Two bearded bastards. That's what you should call that episode.
That's right. I'm the fat one. He's the thin one.
Yeah, well, we'll just call like fatter and less fat. I'm already going to hell. I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. I know I should. I know I'm supposed to be nice. It was like saying cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs earlier. I'm just fucking past it. We'll be back next week.
Oh.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work there, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.